Hello everyone, welcome again to our explanation of the singular numerical relativity. Today I'm going to talk about the information card of a number. Just like human beings have an ID which preserves the record of our biography, numbers also they have a card, and this card is called information card. It's an ID and it contains all the information you want to know about the number. So each number in the universe has its own ID. So let's see what it is. When we speak of information card, we are referring to a map of all the features of a number. And in order for us to get those features, we need to perform some physical operations which will allow us to really get all these features completely from the numbers. So we will see that because a number is flexible, then we can stretch it. I already told you that a number is just like this antenna. It has segments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 segments. Then you can pull it down. You can reduce to the size you like. If you like only to express it as 2 segments, there will be only 2. 3 segments will be 3. Then the whole thing is still 7. So when we say 7, that 7 may be looking like this, very short. But when you open it, then all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 will come out. So out of number 7, we can get different values which are hiding inside. That's why we need these operations. But before we go talking about operations, let's first identify those features that will appear on the card itself. On the card, we will see first the master itself, meaning the master number. Then it is deceleration, acceleration, expansion, the 2D projection, which expresses the energy of the number. Then there will be also the 3D projection, which reflects the volume and the mass of the number. Then we will also see on the card the explosion. This is about the bang. We are talking about the Big Bang in reality. So the explosion, the 2-dimension explosion of the number, it will appear there. And also we will have the 3-dimension explosion. We will see also on the card the inflation of a number. This is an energy. It is the energy that a number will emit when it will increase its value. So number can increase its value and decrease its value. Decrease meaning deflation. Increase, inflation. And we have more to talk about. Maybe when we go through, then you will notice by yourself what we're talking about. So what are we going to do now? In order to get all these features out of a number, we have to perform projection and explosion. These two great operations allow us to get all the features, all the values of a number and map them on a surface area. So, as you see here, we say that a projection is an expansion in two directions and on 90 degrees angle. Here we need, just as the light travels, you see here, I talk about the flash. The light from the sun, for example, comes to us on the planet Earth as a flash. But if you take the sun as a whole, when it is radiating the light, then all the radiation becomes an explosion because it's all around 360 degrees. So, in short to say, a projection is a portion of an explosion. So an explosion is bigger, and you are going to see it here. Let's first see what the projection and the explosion are. Here on the right, you see the projection. Projection meaning we get number 4. We expand it. We flash it. And when it appears on the other side, it will appear with all these values. I already explained this, that the number has various levels of variability. So these levels of variability allow the number to take different values. And when we do the projection will give us this result we have here. And if you sum all the values that appear here, including 4 itself, we will have 100. Amazing. 100. And if we want to know how many values we have here, which will be identified later as bits. Bits we have here, we have 25. If we now do the explosion, you see how the explosion is truly big. Here you see a very small number of explosions, values. But here is a huge number of values. This is only for number 4. So if we do it, when the number will explode, then all these values will come out of this number 4. Then if you sum all of them, including 4 itself, you have 324. And if you count all of them, they are 81. What this 81 means? 81 and 24. These are the number of degrees of freedom that a number can give to us. And these are what we call the bits. So we can have 81 bits of information out of number 4 when it is exploded. 25 when it is projected. So to show you this again. We know that we are dealing with the universe and with the fabric of the cosmos. The fabric of the cosmos is always represented in with a graph. So we have a graph like this. You can extend the lines as you wish, okay? They can continue in all directions. But this is a graph. So if we are using a graph to do the two-dimension projection of a number, then this is how it is presented. If we are doing the explosion, then you see this kind of number 4 there in the middle. So this is the look of number 4 when it is exploded in 2 dimensions, and it occupies, if you check well, here you can read clearly. Here you cannot see so much because this is a circle. You cannot see, and you may not be able to understand why 81. And you may not know why at this level there is a certain number of bits, and here another number of bits, and what makes that happen. You can see it here. You see that this in red, the master 4 is surrounded by how many values in yellow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So each square on the graph is surrounded by 8 squares. Have you ever thought of that? I don't know. That's why even people talk about the 8 rays of the sun. So an explosion from the sun will take place in 8 directions. These are the main. Then when we have to cover up everything, then we will have this kind of structure. And this is dictated by the law that here, when it goes to the next level, the number of bits will increase by 8. Again, it will double. So here on the green, it will be 8 times 2. We have to go to the next, on the brown here, it will become 8 times 3. Go to the next, becomes 8 times 4. So this is the way it is. And you can continue. You can go wrapping around. And this is what we call here envelope. This is an envelope. If we go to the previous, you will see that this is an arrow. Anyway, going back, we have an arrow. That arrow. Then to the next step on the explosion, we have an envelope. So now let's see what happens when an explosion or a projection happens in 3 dimensions. What happens? Here we have the 2 dimensions. If we get the same number 4 starting here, see the color. Number 4 will project itself following the laws that has been established by the levels of variability. Then it will go 4 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at every step, it will add a certain number of cubes, and you see this is already a large number of cubes. There's a formula in order for you to calculate all of this. You can know any level you choose, and you want to know how many small cubes here are there, you can just tell through the formula. There's a formula for all of this. That's why we are not talking in the air. Everything has been calculated accurately and can be demonstrated accurately. So when we do the 3D projection of a number, this is what we get. We get a whole structure like this. This is an object. It gives us already an object, a cube with a lot of small cubes in it. So now, if we take this object now, how to map the information of it, because this is not a map. This is a body. So we cannot use it for information as it is. We need to draw it somewhere, we call the black hole, in order for it to be dismantled. And the information from this will be mapped on this surface of the black hole, and it appears this way. So the information coming from this cube here, when it is mapped here, look, that information is distributed level by level. And here what is interesting, because we are talking about the information card of a number. So the information card will appear here. As you see, here is the master itself. So if you do the projection, the number you get here is the master itself. Then at the other corner here on the left is the deceleration, which has a formula. On the other side, it will be the acceleration of number 4. That 30 is the acceleration of number 4. There's a formula for that. And the number you get at the corner here below, this is the expansion. So if you apply the formula of the expansion, what you get is 36. Then, if you get all these values on the central column here, where the master is, it gives you the 100 energy which we talked about. 100. So it represents the energy of the number itself. So here what I'm showing to you is that the information we are talking about here, or the features we are talking about here, will appear on this card as a single value or multiple values, of course very well organized and aligned according to the logic. So there is always a logic. If I said here why it is here, there is a logic here. There is a logic here. But I have no time to explain those details. Then you will see that the information, for example, from this blue squared arrow, no, so not squared arrow, cubic arrow, the cubic arrow here, the information from it will be occupying only this in blue. So all of this came from the blue here. The green came from the green arrow. The brown came from the brown. The yellow came from the yellow. So the yellow here came from the yellow on the cube. So all the information of this cube here, this object, has been already all mapped on this. So all the values you see here are real. And what is more interesting, that you will find this map here appear somewhere. Anyway, we are going to talk about it later. So now let's move to the next, which is the explosion.